This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you without his permission by the graphic novel Arkland by Scott A. Ford. The Legend of Zelda meets District 9. Enter this lush, full-color 8-bit wonderland by the creator of Romulus and Remus, and meet the creator himself at FanQuest Winnipeg, June 23rd and 24th at Red River College Exchange Campus.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. We're here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry, and our long-suffering producer, Dan. Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys doing?
I thought you were going to say my last name.
Oh, you say it better than I do.
Vadeboncoeur.
Vadeboncoeur.
It's not the good way to say it. Vadeboncoeur. I can do that because I'm French.
So we're back in the studio.
We have a lot to catch up on.
We have so much. Yeah, I haven't seen either of you in so long, it feels like.
We haven't even done the Calgary postmortem.
Oh, we haven't caught up on Calgary. We haven't caught up really on Chicago.
You know, we did Chicago.
Did we?
Yeah.
No, that was
Yeah, we
Seattle,
talked about-
I thought.
No, you talked
No,
about
we
Chicago.
talked about Chicago.
Okay, phew. I'm glad someone was paying attention because I sure wasn't. So, where were you, Dan?
I was in Chicago as well. I went last week. I took 31 creative communication students to Chicago to visit the Windy City and learn about communications. Kinda.
Kinda.
Well, it's, you know, okay, so I started this trip. Well, I didn't start it. I brought it back after a long absence based on the graphic design trip. Justin, of course, went on that when he was in the program, and it's been going on forever. Graphic design students have been going to Chicago as part of their program for decades. And it went away in Creecom.
Chicago is the Winnipeg of the South, basically.
Yes, that's right. It is the Winnipeg of the South. Right. And so the idea is that it gives students a chance to go to a big city that they've never been to before. Most of them have not been outside Winnipeg. They're, you know, still pretty young. And was that your first trip?
Yeah, I was 18 when I went on that trip. You know, I moved from the country into the city when I was 17, and that was my first Yeah.
So you actually did move into a big city.
I moved into a big city, and then we went to an
a
even
big city
bigger
like.
city. Yeah. Head was
And
spinning.
so and on that trip for the graphic design students, they tend to go more designy, art kind of based tours. They do the Art Institute. Did you do an agency? Do you remember that?
We didn't do an agency. We did a lot of Frank Lloyd Wright stuff.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the art museum. But no, we didn't see any design agencies. That would have been great.
Well, we did,
Nice.
and so I was able to get us a tour at Critical Mass, which is a digital agency in downtown Chicago, right on Michigan Avenue. So it's got that great view down Michigan Avenue, down the Miracle Mile or the Magnificent Mile or one of the miles. I don't remember what you call it.
You're the one that gave the tour.
Well, I didn't do it. Somebody else gave me the tour. This agency has worked with huge brands, and it was great for the students to see what they do with these brands. One of the things they did was create an augmented reality experience around Nissan and Star Wars, which is kind of a cool tie-in. So you hold up your phone and look through the app, and your Nissan Rogue turns into a TIE fighter or something like that. It was kind of cool.
I had a meeting about AR in a book that's coming out.
Oh, it's very cool. It's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah.
I like the AR stuff. And that's a great way to use it in books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder, though, when it will... there'll be a point in which AR won't be a gimmick. It will be perceived as an art space, like an art form. And I think we're still in that, it's new and it's gimmicky and that'll make people look at it, but it's not necessarily at the place where...
Well, the opportunity was Google Glass, right? That was the thing where it was going to be, you can look up and see what the weather is going to be. You can look around and see information about stuff around you.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Very futuristic kind of Minority Report kind of stuff. And nobody liked the idea of people walking around with a camera on their face all the time.
No?
So that's why Google Glass kind of failed, because
Yeah.
nobody really liked that
Is that
idea.
the big hiccup? Was it just recording all the time?
Yes, there's a camera on your face recording everything, and people do not like that idea of being recorded. So that was part of the problem with that. But anyway, we did the agency, we did the Art Institute. I was posting on Instagram some amazing armor, an incredible armor exhibit at the Art Institute of Chicago.
From what periods of time?
Well, mostly medieval periods, but also Viking. I tagged you in a post.
Perhaps the Renaissance? I saw that.
Viking helmets do not have horns, as I saw in the display, but they had swords there that were more than 1,000 years old. It was incredible just to see.
Did you touch it?
No, I can't. It's behind glass. But the evolution of armor over that time was really, really cool. What? What are you doing? I didn't. I can't.
I
That's
would've
why
found
it's
a way.
lasted 1,000 years, because people like
People
you
can't touch
have been kept away by a sheet of glass.
So anyway, great trip overall. Students were good. They were well behaved. They did not trash their hotel rooms, and I'm happy about that.
Wow.
I also talk about it on my podcast, Media Nerds. So if you want more information about Chicago, you can go there. Plug for my podcast, which I haven't done on this podcast before.
Well, you and I were away. Word from the front line, Sambico told me that Justin went full nocturnal for the last few days. Tell us about that experience.
Not too bad. Semi.
Semi-nocturnal?
Semi. Because I still have things to do.
The grocery store's only open in the
What do
day.
you mean nocturnal? Like you were up all night and slept all day?
Well, yeah. Normally when so my girlfriend's in Israel right now on an exchange program she's going for in law. She's in law, so they're offered the chance to go to Israel for a month and take a course over there, and that goes towards credits in their next semester, and a cool opportunity. So she's doing that, and she's usually she's the big reason for me having a semi-normal schedule.
She's the tethering link to
Yeah, because
normalcy.
my ideal
Yes.
schedule is waking up around lunch and working until 2, 3 in the morning. I love working at night, that whole when the city's asleep and you're getting things done and there's nobody to bother you or contact you or anything like that. I like that. So it gets worse and worse, right? The first night is to midnight. Yeah. Next night you're up till 2
I know
and
it
then
well,
till
yeah.
3 and then before you know it. But my plan is at the end of the month I'm traveling to Europe to meet up with her and to go on a bit of a vacation. So if I have my schedule completely flipped around, it'll be perfect for when I go to
No
Europe.
jet lag.
No jet lag.
Right? Oh, well, that'll be fine. William Gibson calls it soul delay.
Soul delay.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Right?
awesome.
Like
yes.
it's the idea that you're not jet lagged. It's that your body has traveled so quickly that your soul doesn't know where it is.
Oh.
And so it takes a little while for it to catch up, and that's when you start to feel normal.
It's magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was in Los Angeles the last few days. I had been invited by UCLA to come and give a series of lectures and a master class on comic book making, but specifically it was the Ancient Studies Department that brought us out. They Christina Markman was the professor that asked myself, Howard Chaykin, and Connor McCready to come out and talk about Renaissance ideals that have persisted into current pop culture. And she had found evidence of those things in our work, so she asked us to come and talk about it. It's a weird phone call to get at the studio. She called me a number of months ago, and it was like, hello, is this Gregory? Yes. What do you think about humanistic perspectives in your work? And I was halfway through answering before it occurred to me that I should ask who is asking. Like, I was like, oh, by the way, who is this?
Survey ever.
Yeah, and it's the weirdest phone survey I've ever received. And it turned out that was the right way to approach it because, she was basically testing to see if I could speak towards academic perspectives in that work. And then she said, have you ever done any public speaking like that? And I had literally just come back from doing a keynote speech at the Faculty of Medicine. So it gave me all the credibility I needed, I guess, for UCLA to bring me down there. And I had the full LA experience.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I think, anyway.
Did you meet a
Californians can tell me.
celebrity?
There were lots of celebrities that we saw and were really... So within a 12-hour period, within 30 meters of me, the following events unfolded. We saw Andy Garcia and Jane Fonda and Ted what's his name?
Ted Danson?
Dan Danson, yeah. And then within 12 hours, 30 meters away, someone was hit by a car, forced up onto the hood of that car. The driver tried to escape. It was during a union protest, so there was lots of people around. There was no way for the car to get away. And then police charged at the vehicles with their weapons drawn, dragged the guy out of the vehicle, literally put the barrel of the gun to his head and put him on the ground.
Wow.
And we were like, oh, yes, this is not Canada anymore.
America. Holy.
But tell me more about Andy Garcia. Because I really care. That's all I care about.
Oh, that's all you care about?
No, just joking.
He smiled and he waved and he was very. We were going for. We were finding a bite to eat, and apparently this happens in Los Angeles a lot. Suddenly, a whole bunch of police cars showed up, and I thought, "Oh, something bad's happening." And the gentleman we were with said, "Oh, no, it's nothing bad. You can tell by their uniforms." And the police who were getting out were all in like perfect, not quite dress blues, but like really, really pristine uniforms, and their badges were all super polished, and all the buttons were polished. And they were doing crowd control for these celebrities who all showed up for the screening of a movie.
Oh, okay.
And so they're all going to be in the photos too, I guess, those police. So they have to
Look good.
for the LAPD.
Nice.
So someone said, the real secret of LA's traffic problem is not overpopulation. It's that there's too many celebrities there. And so every now and then traffic is stopped suddenly for celebrities to cross the street.
motorcade or something like that. Yeah, no, that does mess up traffic quite a bit.
So that was a very interesting experience. We were there for like academic reasons, but my nerd heart wandered around UCLA campus for a while, not understanding why I recognized it so clearly. There were parts that I was like, I swear I've been here. I have emotional experiences connected to this. So I was like, it must have been a movie. I don't know. But it's so like real. And then our guide Sasha said, "Oh, well, were you a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan?" I was like, "Yes."
Oh yeah.
And then it all flooded back, right? Sunnydale campus.
Was it all there?
That's where they filmed it all. So like I knew the pillars. I sat where Buffy sat, and I sat where Xander sat, and I thought to myself, I am a huge nerd for being so excited that in this center of higher learning, this is my most exciting moment.
So I have a similar story to tell about Chicago as far as sitting somewhere where somebody sat. If that makes sense. One of our tour stops was the Second City, which is the famous comedy training center where countless comedic legends have come out of there. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray. The walls were just plastered with all these famous people that had been through this institution. And in one of their theaters, we got kind of a tour of the place. The only theater we didn't really get to see was the main stage theater because they had an event going on in there at the time. But one of their smaller theaters, they have something called Booth 1. And Booth 1 was it was a booth taken from another restaurant that I'm blanking on the name of, but it was this famous restaurant in Chicago that a lot of celebrities used to hang out at. And around this booth were photos of all these celebrities sitting in that booth. So cool. I looked at the photos, and I'm like, okay, there's John Belushi. Where was John Belushi sitting? Okay, and I sat right there where John Belushi sat. And Audrey Hepburn sat there as well.
Did
and
you
all
have
these
a drink in their honor?
No, there was no alcohol there at the time. They weren't. It was too early in the morning. They weren't serving alcohol. But I was just kind of thrilled just to know that someone famous had sat there, and someone that I really like. I really love John Belushi. I think he's an amazing performer. So
just don't like putting you guys in danger.
Oh, I laugh in the face of danger. Then I hide until it goes away.
Did you get lots of work done, Justin, in your nocturnal? You get more work done when you're on that schedule, do you think?
I'm, yeah, like I was just trying to think about, I haven't gotten as much artwork done. It's been everything else, right? It's all that other bits and pieces that come with running this company.
So that's what you're doing? You didn't get to make too much stuff? You were just...
I call it... I did a lot of forging. Like I have a lot of pieces set up to knock down. So I'm hoping by the time today's over, all my logistics and paperwork and stuff like that will be put to rest, and next week will be nothing but finishing things.
Nice.
Yeah.
But you're going somewhere tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm going to TCAF tomorrow for my very, very first experience with
Toronto
TCAF.
Comics Arts Festival.
Yeah, which is it's a free event in downtown Toronto. It's in a library. It is apparently just packed the entire 3 days or 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, and it's everybody talks about it with great reverence and everybody.
It's a magical place.
Yeah,
where there are no rules left in making books. Like you just see this, like. I think I've said this before in this space here that, I'm used to my stuff at regular comic shows being kind of on the weirder end of the spectrum. I'm not even middling weird at TCAF. Like my stuff is not it.
You're vanilla.
At my most experimental, I'm like, that's all you do, kind of in TCAF. I saw a guy who was doing he was hand carving marble sheets. Or maybe there's soapstone sheet. I don't know, but the comic was made from ink, like beat pressed ink on these carved sheets, and they were incredible. Like there was such artistry there, and he had hand bound them, and I was just totally overwhelmed. Like, so when I stand at TCAF and I look at the kind of craftsmanship that goes into these individual like art piece books, sometimes I feel like there's more I should do with my life.
So at the other thing that kind of makes this week a little more hectic is not only am I going to TCAF, but my mom and dad are coming into the city, and I'm sending them to the Ottawa convention for me.
Oh. To do your table?
To do my table, yeah.
To proxy?
To proxy, yeah. I'm not a super huge fan of proxying, but every once in a while it has to happen. And this year, I grandfather into Ottawa since like year one. I've been grandfathering in, so I've been there for like 5 years. I've had the exact same table. And this year, it was the first year I've ever gotten a TCAF. I've been applying year after year after year, and this was the first time I got in. They're always on the same weekend, so I had to figure something out, and I wasn't about to give up my table. And I've especially when I send my parents. People are usually pretty okay with that.
Well, your parents can speak to your work as like a proud parent. Like,
yeah.
look at what my boy did, and they can be very. I'm sure they can do almost a better job of selling your stuff than you can, just because they're so excited about what you're doing.
Mom definitely sees it that way. I think Dad's just there for the free trip.
Ouch. Your parents are very supportive of you, and I think that you should be proud of that.
I am. Yeah.
You should be proud of their pride.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
Tell me, how was Calgary?
Calgary was great, but it was all different now.
Why?
It's under new management.
Okay, so what is it? Okay, so explain this now. What was it before, and what is it now? What is
so Calgary Expo, originally, Calgary remains my favorite show, even under new management.
Okay.
Just the city of Calgary, the way that the show...
And this is the only big con in Calgary? Is there other cons?
It's the biggest, for sure.
Yeah.
What I loved about Calgary, which is no longer present, is that the original Calgary Expo, the only way to come in and out of the building, the main space, was through Artist Alley. It felt like they had always given the people who make the books pride of place, so that even if people are there for Funko Pop toys or whatever they're speculating for, they have the accidental capacity to discover the love of reading on their way.
Sure.
And I always thought that was so magical and wonderful about it. And it's largely, I think, why I had the confidence to believe I could do this as a career. It was the first place I'd ever had a lineup was in Calgary, like people lining up to buy stuff.
For me, too, that was the first time I pulled a profit in that made me think this could be an actual source of income and an actual thing to pursue.
Right.
And I imagine as a just starting out, it's a big risk for you to take going to a show like this. The table can't be cheap. Mm-hmm. The travel expenses. You're like, okay, I'm actually going to
stay somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff. You're like, wow, this is going to be a lot of costs up front. If you don't, I know. I hear a lot of when I go to cons and running a con, I hear artists say. I asked somebody, how was the con for you? They're like, I made my table back. And I mean, that's a nice way of saying it didn't go very well, in my opinion.
Right.
Because that means they made back the money they spent on the table, which is fine, but there's more expenses for traveling to a con out of town.
Yeah, much more expensive.
Yeah.
So now the organization is run. So there's this new paradigm of organizing shows, which I think is being led by the demand for table space. Where you separate the Artist Alley into its own building, its own area.
Oh,
right.
okay.
They do that at the New York show. They do that in Seattle. They do that in Chicago. They did that in Chicago. We were just in a different spot.
It's one big space in Chicago, but you guys had one section, Artist Alley.
Chicago, it's not in a different room. That's
that was right. I was surprised because it felt normal again. I mean, and there's pros and cons to it, but I mean, we've talked about how.
What are some pros?
The pros to put them.
I've never been a fan of separating the Artist Alley.
So talking to people who are better at comics than you and I, right, who have been in it longer, they explain to me that they only want the guests who are there for comics, and as a name, they can draw those guests to them. They don't have to work too hard to bring their crowd because they've worked 25 years to establish that crowd. You and I want everyone. Yeah. So that they can become our crowd.
We want those accidental, what is this? I want to know more. Yeah. I want to talk to this guy. I want to.
The difference is, though, that the shows are inviting and paying for a number of those comic guests, and so they want those comic guests to have the experience that they are giving feedback about. And I think that has led to this sort of divide of church and state.
There's such a tiny minority at the show, though. Like those comic guests that you're speaking about. Like,
so is there like somebody like so who's a comic guest at Calgary this year? Like a famous comic.
Jim Lee was there.
Jim Lee. So was Jim Lee in the same section as you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then
that's the benefit.
Okay, I get that. Okay.
Right. So people who came for Jim Lee and he wasn't at his table maybe found me. Haha, tricked you. Right.
You just put a big sign that says Jim Lee. I mean, GMB Kamichuk.
That's right. Yeah. Jim Lee will be signing at my table. I'm going to put that sign up on his booth next time. I will get killed by con monsters.
Yes, that's right.
That. No, so whatever. It's different, and there's growing pains for that. But a lot of people were not happy with that change. A lot of people were happy with that change.
We were kind of expecting. It's like you said, new management. They did a completely different floor plan. The floor plan's been the same for the last 5-6 years, and this is the first year it's been changed.
But yeah,
so there was definitely some growing pains with just the upheaval of everything.
And I think what people have to recognize about that, if you're not in charge of the show, which you aren't, it's the equivalent of complaining that there's a new subdivision and a new freeway overpass, right?
Or
it's not like it used to be, and the traffic is different, but your complaining isn't going to change.
We used to love complaining about changes to Facebook. Do you remember that? Every time they change their layout, people were like, "What's going on here?" And then a week later, it's like, "Oh, whatever."
The one thing that really kind of bothered me was there was the Artist Alley in the one building, and then there was the main building was a bit of a walk away, and kind of in between that was the parking lot. So what people would do is they would go to Artist Alley and they would buy their things, and on the way to the other building, they'd stop at their car and they'd drop everything off. And vice versa. They came to the main room, they'd bought their things, and when they go into Artist Alley, they drop everything off at their car.
I'll just make a quick interruption here, which is, again, a shout-out to something they did well organizing the show. They changed where the entrances were at the Calgary show so that it was equidistant. If you were arriving, you could say, I can go to the Artist Alley building or I can go into the main exhibitor hall. They made an effort to make the traffic land in the middle and then make the choice themselves.
Okay.
So that was good.
Yeah.
But
everybody was walking around empty-handed. Nobody was walking around with bags of artwork or merch or anything because everybody it worked into their path that they'd be able to drop merch off. And it took me a while to realize something was wrong, something was bothering me. And it was because I'm so used to being able to see, somebody bought Greg's print and they bought all my friends I can see when they've made sales because people will come by with bags of their stuff. And none of that happened the entire weekend. Nobody had bags of anything.
The clear bags were useless. The clear bags you guys figured out.
Yeah.
We're no good.
We were sterilized by that.
Yeah.
Our potency removed.
And the amount of people who will find us at shows because they track somebody down with our artwork in a clear bag. Where did you get that? And then come find us. That happens quite often. And I think, that
was
not a factor.
Unintended consequence of the show floor change, right? And that's not something I don't think a show organizer could plan for or think about. It's just we observe it.
No, you would think that that's not intentional. They are looking at it from that perspective, as you said, that it's equally distant from you can choose to go wherever you want. Yeah. And I'm sure the Congoers appreciate being able to drop stuff off in their car. Because that is so much easier than carrying stuff around.
Yeah.
So,
but it does change the fervor, the psychology of the purchaser is different. If you see everyone else carrying stuff, you ask yourself, is there something, is this my chance?
Yeah.
If you see no one carrying things, you wonder, well,
maybe there's nothing worth buying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I know a lot of people. Calgary is a popular show for Winnipeg people to go to. So I knew a lot of people who were there, who were posting and had a great time. One of my colleagues met some of the Back to the Future people that were there. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Michael J. Fox couldn't make it for health reasons, but they had the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
As I understand it. Overall, it's interesting how even within the prairies of Canada, how people travel to, and a lot of people travel to Regina as well. It's just people who love conventions will go anywhere to go to visit these different conventions and have the experience.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun for a lot of people.
Anytime you travel, you should try to make another reason to be in the place,
Well,
right?
You sent me a picture of something. You texted me and said, was it you were climbing on something? What was that all about?
Oh,
You're like, no, nothing, officer. Nothing to see here.
The Nothing Officer series of photos. Well, there's this big, wonderful art installation in the middle of downtown Calgary, which is this huge face. I actually don't know the name of the art. It's not well placarded, so you don't know like who did it. But what it is it's this. It's like maybe 60, 100. I don't know if it's 100 feet tall, but it's this big wireframe face, and when you stand in it, it inverts. Like you can.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
There's this. It's quite spectacular. But for the first time, I've been in Calgary many times. It occurred to me that you could climb it. Right? And I thought, like, it's so weird. There's no signs that say don't climb it. So
perfect
the
for
people
climbing.
we were with, I said, hey, man, look at how great this would be to climb. I'll leave them nameless because they don't want, I'm sure, to be named
They
in
have
this.
families to
Yeah,
think of.
families.
Although, are they not in the photos that you sent me?
They are. So we climbed it, and we were climbing it. And what's funny is there was this group of teenagers sitting in front of it, and they were giving us this scowl, like, "Oh, you
skateboarder
old
kids
people!"
were-
The skateboarder kids were looking at us with this derision. We got, basically not quite to the top, but pretty close. And then we saw the long shadow of a very bored security guard comes sauntering around the corner, and he sees us and we see him, and he is in no hurry to rush. At first he is, until he realizes that we're like 40-year-old men climbing this thing. And okay, fine. So he kind of walks slow enough that by the time we're on the ground, right, the incident is over. I think he saw probably the skater kids and was like, "Oh, more of these guys climbing up this." Oh wait, no, these are grown people who should know better.
Those skater kids know better.
Yeah, they knew better.
Yeah.
But you should just take opportunities as they arrive
Sure.
to have a good time, a good experience. No one was likely to be hurt. Actually, we got up to about the midpoint of the curve because we were climbing inside the head and realized that you could only free climb the rest of the way. That's when it started to feel dangerous, so we turned back. We turned back. It's a long way down to the concrete. So now I realize that that sculptor, had an unintended consequence of choosing his materials. It's not his fault or her fault, but it sure was fun.
Hello, what's all this then?
Other things that happened in LA was I got to meet with Amuse Group USA, who are the U.S. arm of the Baby Metal management company.
Yes.
Are also there. So I made a special trip to go and meet the team that is, helping organize the world tour and putting the book together, and that was a singular and wonderful experience. They were just so. In full disclosure, I was nervous about being the outsider to the project. They've all worked together for a long time, and here's this Western artist coming in to work on this Japanese, experience. Because it's the only way to really talk about Baby Metal is they're not really a band. The whole thing is organized like a cross between a opera and a metal show and a stage performance. Because they explained to me while I was there that Kai Kobayashi organizes the event in that way. Like, it's not just a rock show, or it's not like a metal show. It's a story. Each of the concerts has their own narrative that is in the imagery, and often that only appears in that one particular show. And then they'll scrap those costumes and they will never use them again.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Oh, wow.
So I got to see some of that. And so it was neat because a number of the editorial directions that I got for some of the initial designs, where I thought what I should be doing is researching the iconography of the group that exists and then calling back to that in the book. That was sort of frowned upon. It was like, no, invent something new, and that's great. That's awesome to be given that
On your end,
freedom.
yeah.
But I wasn't sure that I would be allowed. And so now I understood why, because they want a new experience at each time a person experiences what it is they're crafting and creating. They want them to find something they didn't find the first time.
Is there a canon to this story? Do they have everything they create? Do someone keep track of it, and they have I'm sure there's a wiki somewhere with all their stuff on it.
So what's interesting is I found out too is the fans create try to keep track. But there is a from the top down a level of secrecy, or not even the top down, from the creative side to the corporate side. Creative keeps a lot of the mystery intact, and they're not expected. Kai's not expected to share. They trust and have given him that freedom to come up with it and to have a say, and very different than the Western way of doing things.
Yeah.
Where, right,
you have to get it approved.
Where the publisher or the production company, gives the approval. It goes the other way, and that was, it was really wonderful to see, and also it kind of felt interesting to be a part of that. And we were arranging. I'm meeting him face to face in Nashville later in the week. So we were sort of also prepping for that, because there's some protocols and some things that we have to.
When are you in Nashville?
On the 18th of May. Yeah.
And I got into Odafest.
Oh.
Yeah, so I will be going back to Calgary for the anime convention.
Nice.
Which is, it's always odd, both in Winnipeg and now in Calgary. We've noticed people who go to Comic-Cons do not go to anime shows, and vice versa. People who, like the anime attendees, will not go to Comic-Cons.
Really?
It's completely separate.
There's some, I'd say like
there's
10 or 20%
a little bit,
overlap, but not.
For the most part, yeah, they do one or the other.
Because I did, what was the show I did? Winterfest here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, I was there
too. It was a completely new audience for me. And I
You've
thought,
been doing shows here
I've
for
been doing
years.
Winnipeg shows forever. Everyone will be sick of me. But no, it was, I've never even heard of this. That was...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
But different than a first show experience, because I was a Winnipegger. So it's like, I've never heard of this. Oh, but you're from Winnipeg. So they take a chance. Winnipeggers look after their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's and how big is this convention, the anime convention in Calgary?
It's very comparable to Icon. Attendance-wise, I want to say somewhere between like 7,000 to 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it fluctuates up and down, and don't quote me on those numbers, but that's about what it feels like.
And similar, same venue or different venue?
They changed the venues. 2 years ago, I was a guest there. They brought me in as a guest, which was the first time I was ever a guest at a show, so it was really neat. And so they used to be in the university, Calgary, and now they are downtown in like the TELUS Center, whatever phone company center is downtown.
The big building downtown named after a phone company, which every city has.
Yeah. It's right under the Calgary Tower. It's right in the, which is great because I love downtown Calgary. It's a great place to.
Yeah, it really is to go climbing.
Around.
If you need a good climbing.
For climbing or more adult activities.
Yeah. Do you remember? Were you at the dinner where Wolf Cop came?
I was in
full
makeup. Yeah.
I want to bring those guys into FanQuest. I love that movie, and I know there's a second. Is there a second one?
There's a second one.
Yeah, I've not seen the
Another
second one yet.
Wolf Cop, yeah.
But they're from Saskatchewan.
They are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I won't go so far as to I can't speak with like we're on familiar terms, but we had people in common, and so I went over to the Wolf Cop table while they were promoting their stuff and said, we're planning this dinner and everyone's going to be out. You guys should come, right? We know people who know people, and they sort of vouch for you, say you're decent folks, even though you make movies. And would you like to come out for dinner? And we had a flexible reservation at this place down in the heart of downtown Calgary. It's Salt Lick, something like that. It has a big metal horse in front of it.
It's a horrible name for a restaurant.
It has a big metal horse in front of it.
I'm sure it's very good food, but man.
So we told them we were bringing about 25 people, and in the end we brought somewhere like 50, maybe 75 people showed up. But the point of the story is that they said, okay, well, we'll come, but we're going to come in, Wolf Cop will be in his full makeup because we're doing a thing. So if he can come in full makeup, then let's do that. And so we arranged with the manager. I said, there's an opportunity here to turn it into a bit of a, let's make it into something fun. So I talked to the manager of the restaurant and I said, this Wolf Cop is coming. And he's like, oh, great. Let's not tell the staff. Right. And we arranged to have a rare steak brought for him and to do all these photo things. But the staff didn't know he was arriving. So I told them that the staff didn't know. And Wolf Cop comes bursting into the restaurant with a howl and a scream. And the poor hostess shrieks in terror because a werewolf. And then Wolf Cop makeup is good.
Yeah.
It stands up to scrutiny. It's camera ready. And so he bursts in, rah, and she screams, ah, and he says, it's okay. I'm a cop. And the rest of the night was wonderful.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
At a certain point, he pulled the makeup off. Right, he went through his wolf cop transformation and pulled the skin loose and went through a transformation.
He did eat his meal.
He ate his meal in full makeup.
Yeah.
The prosthetic for the teeth allowed him to eat. It was incredible.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those guys. I love independent films and these, I guess you could call it a cult hit or whatever, but those are awesome. One of the guys we have coming into FanQuest this year is Steve Kostansky, who made Manborg. I don't know if you guys ever seen Manborg, but it's a very low budget. I think he made it for like $1,000 or something stupid like that. A lot of green screen stuff, but it's very effective, and its visual style kind of lends itself to the film. So it's a lot of fun. It's one of those kind of similar movies where it's just like so low budget. And then he also did I don't want to say better, but a higher budget film called The Void. That came out last year.
I saw The Void.
Yeah, so that's his movie as well, and we're actually going to be screening that at the Cinematheque the weekend of FanQuest. But yeah, that's him as well. So that's more of a John Carpenter style kind of horror movie, right? So it's something that's right up your alley as well.
So many
yeah. So that's so I just like the idea of bringing these kind of smaller filmmakers in to talk about their work, and they're of course fan followings, cult followings of all these guys. So they're welcome to come to FanQuest and meet them.
They're passion projects.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
can sometimes become actual financial successes.
I used to love Troma Entertainment.
I was right across from the Troma booth when we were in Seattle.
Was Lloyd there?
Lloyd was there. I got to meet Lloyd. I chatted with him for a little bit.
It was in Chicago.
Oh, that was Chicago. I never know. I can't keep them straight. So one thing I've realized about traveling to so many shows is that Justin has an incredible sense of direction. If he's been to a city before, he can find everything again, no problem, right? Just remembers it. It's a little bit uncanny. And he knows the order in which all events have occurred and in what cities. And after 6 months, I'm pretty sure it was all in the same place. So if you need to fact check any of my stories, you should definitely check with Justin.
Yeah,
he'll know
every Canadian city you mix.
But I did see when the students that you guys got passes for went to Chicago, I did see some of them taking photos with Lloyd Kaufman at the Troma table, so that's very cool. And I mean, I guess I haven't seen any of their films in a long time, but Steve Kostansky also made Father's Day, which was a Troma movie.
Right.
So I love those kind of movies. I love the spirit of Troma and what it stands for.
If you're easily offended, you will not like it.
Well, it's not. Yeah, the content is questionable at times.
Yeah.
For
but
sure.
The fact that they're disruptors in the medium, I really appreciate
that philosophy is very, very good, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, sometimes like stuff I thought was funny when I was in my 20s, I don't really find funny anymore in Troma films. But whatever. Toxic Avenger is still pretty funny.
It's
I don't know.
I still love the toys too.
Yes, that's right.
They had a toy line that was.
They had a cartoon. They had a video game. Right. They had a whole bunch of stuff.
And he shows up in Lord of the Rings.
Who does?
Right, the Toxic Avenger. Right, because that one orc, legit though. The director loved Toxic Avenger and so styled that whole character after the look of Toxic Avenger.
Oh, I did not know that.
True, yeah.
The only the big cameo for Lloyd Kaufman was, of course, in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's in the prison scene as one of the prisoners yelling because James Gunn started out as Troma and he kind of gave them that.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, no, you can absolutely see him right there yelling when they're like starting the riot or whatever in that prison scene.
Oh,
Easter eggs just all over the place.
Just all over.
Today.
Well, it's true is that I think when you come up the hard way to whatever level, if you're a halfway decent human being, you try to remember the people that got you there.
Lou, you're a wolf.
You both went to Regina for Fan Expo?
No, I abandoned Justin to Regina to go to LA. I went to LA. Right. He went to Regina.
I went to Regina, which is it's a 5.5 hour drive. So I just loaded up podcasts and filled up the car and just went by myself and then stayed with friends. So we all shared an Airbnb close by. So it was very, very low overhead for travel and stay. And then it's a great little show. Like Regina doesn't have too many nerdy events like this, I don't think. So everybody who comes out is pretty excited. And,
It's a Fan Expo show, right? So it's part of that chain, I guess, of shows?
Yeah, and they started it 4 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. And, now, because they've taken over Calgary, the Calgary crew was in charge in Regina. It was none of the normal Fan Expo people I'm used to seeing. It was like Marianne and her whole crew running it. So I think, again, they're kind of going through a transition this year. So I think I'm excited for what's going to happen with Regina next year when the new team is fully in control. And there's a new convention center that is pretty much built as well, which is great because the Regina Convention takes place in the same place where they have horse shows and cows. So there's quite a bit of dust and quite a distinct smell of that reminds me of home because I grew up on a farm, but most people aren't a big fan.
I don't know if we ever talked about it on the podcast, but our friends Ron and Indy ended up in...
they got in trouble.
Got in trouble because their luggage got swabbed, right, as luggage can get when you're going through the airport, and it came up positive for an explosive because
fertilizer,
of the fertilizer,
right?
And so they had to explain, like, no, we're just artists, not terrorists. Although you could argue that one is sometimes the other. And we just happened to be at this convention where there's horses. Officer, I promise.
Now they're not allowed to go to the States.
That's right.
Wow, that's interesting. So was the Calgary one? It used to be a fan expo, and now it's not. Is that what's happening?
No, Calgary used to be its own thing. Calgary Expo was its own organization,
like
and
privately
then the Fan Expo bought Calgary Expo.
Okay. So Calgary was a fan expo, Calgary, that you went to.
Yes, this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Regina was a fan expo, Regina.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the great thing is when Fan Expo took over Calgary, they kept the Calgary crew. It's not like they came and replaced everybody.
Yes, okay.
I'm
sure there have been growing pains, but most of the faces you were used to asking questions of were there again.
And I know that you guys you don't want to say anything bad about these places that, that host you and allow you to make your living. But do you notice when it comes to these chains of cons, are there I guess similarities between the two, or do they all feel like their own event, even though they all have a similar name, or do you feel that they're like the exact same event, duplicated over or replicated over different places?
I have a clarifying question for Justin then, who will know the answer, like I said, because he knows the details
of
things we do better than I do. Are New York, Seattle, and Chicago all Reed Pop shows?
They're all Reed Pop shows now, but I've been to Seattle. Wasn't Reed Pop until last year.
See, because Seattle and New York are very feel like their own kind of show.
Okay.
The culture in Seattle of the people there and the show itself felt like, wow, this is what people told me Seattle would be like. Same with New York. So no, I guess if the city's personality is strong enough, it usurps the
brand,
organization brand. It's kind of like airports, right? Like certain airports are better than others, but they're all airports.
That's right.
Right? And they're just there to get thousands of people through as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like we have some people who have some complaints about certain conventions and how they're run and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's the attendees. I could care less about how I was able to buy the table and how I got my passes and how, whatever me dealing with the convention, that's one thing. The show is a separate thing because it's all about the people coming there,
And I guess you guys, it's very rare for you to be able to attend shows as attendees anymore because you're there as artists and vendors.
I actually was hoping to be able to do TCAF this year. If I hadn't had to run off to LA, I would have done TCAF as an attendee.
Okay.
For that reason, is that it's one of my favorite shows for finding new things. It's one of the only shows where I will unabashedly abandon my table for long stretches because I come back so renewed by faith in the artistic process.
I'm hoping I have a good table mate so I can do that.
Yeah.
I'd like to really experience this show. But
well, Scott will be there too.
Who knows where he'll be though?
He's at the CZP booth, so they'll have people running. I bet he could pinch hit for you, but he'll probably be starry-eyed buying giant books everywhere too.
I found out I'm on the first floor, which is apparently great.
That is really good.
Yeah. Woohoo! I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm kind of excited. I'm going by myself, and Greg and I travel a lot, and we get along quite well. But the idea that I have a hotel room all to myself this weekend and I'm not sharing with anybody is kind of exciting.
I had that this last few days.
I did as well in Chicago. It's very nice, yes.
Yeah.
My students were 4 to a room, which is not a great situation for them.
But you were like an emperor.
Oh, man. I just get in there, spread out and relax.
Well, and I stayed at the Hillgard Manor or something. It had an ostentatious name, but it was just this wood-paneled old hotel. Clearly... faculty like it, right? if you feel like you should definitely be an English professor if you stay at the Hillgard. Right across the street was the W, though, which has, by contrast, the Hillgard is like, you know, a quiet little entrance, and there's like overstuffed chairs and wood paneling, and across the street to get into the W is a staircase that is also a waterfall. Like the stairs are glass and the water runs underneath your feet as you go inside. So we were going back to the Hillgard and we said, okay, well, we'll go. Connor McCreed and I were looking to do a creative meeting. We said, well, let's go to the bar at the W. It'll be good people watching, and we can come up with some ideas and make some of those people our villains in the story. And as we walked in, there was a lot of folks standing around on either side of these red, like roped off areas. And Connor was like, should we just go in? I was like, well, it's open. Right, so we went in, and everyone is looking at us as we go up the stairs, like ooh, and then we're like, uh-oh. We knew right away that we should not go in, but we went in anyway, and we tried to we just got to, and a guy with a headset and a clipboard, gets right in front of us right away, and then 4 private security guys sort of come in on all sides, quietly, sort of cautiously, they sort of appear around us. And he says, what are you here for? We're like, oh, we're here for a drink. He's like, oh, well, this is this is a private event for the book club movie premiere. That's why Jane Fonda was roaming around our hotel. And we looked shocked, and we're like, well, we're definitely not invited to that. And he looked me in the eye and he said, well, thank you for not lying like everyone else does. And so we went to they had another little offside bar in the same hotel, and we went and planned some pitches there instead.
And now Jane Fonda's going to be the villain in your next book.
No, I don't think so. No, I saw her. When you see celebrities around their fans, you sometimes get a sense that you would never want to actually meet them. Mm-hmm. I got a different sense from Jane Fonda. I feel like she'd be a nice lady at a dinner party.
She would be.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
It does. Some people feel like they're taking it for granted, like they deserve it. Mm-hmm.
It's funny because if anybody would think, you think she would feel that way, given that she was born into it. She's been a famous her whole life.
Yeah, so
her dad was a famous actor.
So true. Well, maybe she's just a great actress.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, that could be also true.
Yes,
right.
That's
she fooled
true.
me with her pathos.
Here's to the Army and Navy and the battles they have won. Here's to America's colors, the colors that never run.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
We were talking about the U.S. experience, right? And then you mentioned a little bit, maybe before the podcast, about Trump's America.
Yes, that's right. And how my friend is boycotting the U.S.
That's
Since
right.
Trump has been elected, he has not traveled to the U.S.
Right, which I think just hurts your friend. It doesn't hurt
Trump.
And
the people who benefit from his travel to the U.S., like the hotels.
Yeah, that current administration doesn't want people to come in who don't like them. So if you don't go, then you win. But, we were in California, which, the Californians will tell you we're not really the United States. And we were on the campus of UCLA, which, if there was ever a campus where the right-wing American voter base would probably want just pushed into the ocean, that's probably the place too,
yep.
Right? So, but we ended up in this little dive bar, which will remain nameless because it's a recluse. It's a little secret spot for a few of the faculty that teach at UCLA. And it was a complete cross-section of, in my humble view, of America itself. There was, an architect there were professors there were drug dealers there were drunks there were well-to-dos there. And they were all just at their local dive bar, and they were all friends. And they all knew not to talk politics, and they all knew not to bring up these other things. They talked about what music they liked. They talked about all these things. And as soon as they would steer into politics, they would all take their corners and then change the subject. But along come these Canadians.
Oh, no.
And we're talking quite openly, just at our own little corner of the bar, about some things. And a guy comes up, and he knows one of the people we're with, and because it's their local bar, they're all chatting, having a great time. And so then Connor McCready turns to him and says, something that could be construed as politically inflammatory. And the guy's entire body language changes, and he looks at him, and it's like, it's go time. And the professor we were with nudges me and is like, gives me the signal, like, tell your friend to change the subject. And that was an amazing piece of being in that country. Like, as far as, like the writer in me was like, oh my God, I wish I had recorded this entire thing, because it was, like I said, straight out of a Tom Waits song. There's all these different people and all these different slices of life, and they were all there in the shared experience of having a drink at the end of the day and leaving everything at the door. And then along comes these tourists who bring it in. Like, we broke protocol, essentially.
Okay. Now, what do you think? The thing that he said wasn't said with the intention of upsetting anybody.
No, not at all.
He just assumed that person had the same view as him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have Connor on the podcast, and we'll have him explain the whole situation in his own words, because he'll find it. He's a really funny guy, and you'll find it quite comical. But I don't want to mischaracterize one person's politics or the other's.
No. But it's funny because here in Canada, I think we get a little bit lulled into complacency because, there's not as much of a divide in Canada as there is in the U.S. politically.
Yeah.
Although there are people to the right and left for sure, but we all kind of just we get along for the most part. So I think overall we assume that the people around us agree with what we're saying. Right. I like kind of shake my head when I run into a Trump supporter, because I'm not a Trump supporter, and I'm like, it makes me pause for a moment, especially when they're Canadian. But in the U.S., of course,
well, one of the things that helped turn the conversation back to polite things was that I mentioned that I have in fact fired a gun, and and I have taken the life of an animal in order to eat it at the end of that barrel, and then I was okay. Oh,
I haven't done those things. I would have been screwed.
Right. So
have you done those things, Justin?
I have.
Oh man.
No, I don't do them I don't want to do them anymore, right? But I have done them, yeah. And I think that's an important part of, we're sitting here talking about like what a show can do better and what I think it should be and how it's all supposed to work and how your politics is supposed to be. I think the important lesson from this entire experience is maybe just that if you haven't done it, you shouldn't talk about it like you know everything about it, right? And I just think that is I saw that definitely sitting in that bar, realizing that any number of those people could, in fact, be carrying a firearm. They also explained that it's one of the few bars in the area where they have a license for dancing.
Okay.
They have a license?
They have a license for dancing. So we're Canadians. This is not a thing that we need. You can just, the music plays, you can just cut a rug.
There's a space that you can dance in. Go ahead and dance.
But apparently at bars in L.A., and someone told me in New York as well, it just came up in the conversation, I cannot confirm nor deny that, you need to have a license to dance.
Is it called like the Footloose
it's
law?
Like, yeah, the Footloose law or something. But there's like a cabaret-style license where if you serve drinks and you play music, dancing is not allowed without this license. And it's generally not enforced.
How do you stop people?
Exactly. Yeah. When it's enforced is when someone else has a complaint about the bar and they come in to shut it down.
I see.
The one thing that people... that the establishment can't stop is that other people will start dancing. Then they say, "Hey, you don't have a license for that. We got to shut you down." It's connected to their liquor permit,
right?
But
it's the establishment that gets fined, not the person dancing.
Correct.
So it's up to the establishment. They're not going to go out there and quash dancing if they see it happening.
Right. You could be like a subversive who goes to all kinds of bars where no one seems to be dancing and dance.
Just start
anyway.
dancing. Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's basically what our whole lives are, Justin. We go to places where we're not allowed to do what we're supposed to do, and then we do it. Yeah, more or less. Well, I think that I've missed you guys, and I'm glad to be back. This has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made and how we visit other places. This is Gregory Justin encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.